Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. If I could just interrupt your breakfast for just a moment. My name is Keith Evans. I'm the president here at Westminster, and it is a real pleasure to welcome all of you, our families, our inductees, our coaches, our friends. This is really one of the great events of the year for us, and it's just such a pleasure to have this group together here on a Saturday morning for this Hall of Fame induction. You know, many of you may know that last year, Westminster's athletic program was ranked number 2 in the nation by Max Preps. That is after a couple years ago, Westminster was number 1. That does not represent a deterioration in the athletic program to be number 2 in the nation. But I was reflecting a little bit, and particularly through a few of the athletic events we've had recently between volleyball and softball and last night's football game, I was reflecting a little bit on what it is that is the secret sauce of that kind of success and what it is that our kids play for. You know, they play for their own standards of personal excellence. They play for each other. They play for their coaches. But I would tell you that these kids also play for the legacy of this program. They play for this hallway here where they walk through both the past, the history, the trophies, and those of you who have set a standard of excellence for this program. They play to live up to that standard of excellence. And many of you have moved on from Westminster to great careers in other parts of the country and are doing great things. The things that you may not know is that there are kids on this court and on these fields that still strive and still drive this athletic program to the heights of national recognition because of what you did here. That you remain an inspiration not only to these kids but to all of our coaches and to all of us for what you did for this program, and then what these kids learn from this program in terms of their own character, their grit, their ability to show a little bit of physical courage, something that I think our kids learned a lot about last night in that football game, and all of the other things that we all gained from athletic competition. And so for that, we're grateful. And that is one of the reasons why this induction is so important to us, is because your legacy that you left here really sustains us, and we're grateful for that, and we're grateful for all of the support that your families and coaches gave you along the way. And so with that, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. And I'm going to hand over to our athletic director, Tim Downs, to get our program started. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Good morning, and if I could ask my predecessor, Bob Ward, to give us the blessing.
I would like to say, on behalf of Westminster School, a special congratulations to all the parents that are here and the sacrifices that you made for these young people. And I say young people because I'm the oldest thing in the room right now, and I can promise you that's true. But it's very, very important, I think, to remember the parents who sacrifice for their children to come here to be a part of this experience. And we thank you for that. We thank you for that vision that you had for your family and for your child to come to this school. And now they're grown. But let me just say this to you in regards to their being grown, and numbers of them that will be going into the Hall of Fame today, and that is that they will always be your little boy and your little girl. They never get over being that to you. I know that my son is my little boy, and he'll always be my little boy as long as I'm here. I never can get him past that. He never does become an adult. Although he has a family, he has one child and another one on the way, and he has a career, and he's enjoying life, and has come through so many trials and tribulations himself, he will still be my little boy. And I challenge you to think differently about that, because I don't think you can. And I'm grateful that you are here to be part of this celebration today. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity to recognize people, not young people necessarily, but they are, but recognize families, recognize those who've made a difference in our athletic program. Over the years, we have enjoyed excellence because we have worked toward excellence, and our young people have been known to strive for you, Lord, to be a part of your kingdom, to be part of what makes America different today. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for your guidance in our families. We thank you for your guidance in this school. We thank you for the heritage that occurs here. And especially, Lord, we thank you for your presence every day in our lives. And we ask that you would bless the food that we have enjoyed. Those who have prepared it, we thank you for them. And we ask that you would guide and direct us every single day of our lives. Show us your path, O Lord, and show us how you want us to live. For it is in Jesus' strong name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Bob. Let me add my welcome to the Breithaupt Athletic Hall of Fame induction of Lane Brody, Harrison Butker, L.B. Joel, Alex Sawicki, Murray Sword, and Scoot Diamond. My name is Tim Downs, your Director of Athletics, and today we salute the athletes who have brought distinction to themselves and to their alma mater. The Breithaupt Athletic Hall of Fame, named in honor of Charlie Breithaupt, who's joined us this morning, long-standing head of the upper school, was established in 1972 to recognize outstanding athletic accomplishment at Westminster. And we're gathering today as a Hall of Fame institution to honor our distinguished Hall of Fame athletes and to induct a class of new members as a way to properly reflect on why athletics and athletic accomplishment matters. The passage from Hebrews reminds us that no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. To our Hall of Famers, you made it look easy, but it wasn't. The commitment that you gave to your sport when no one was looking is what set you apart. Making the decision to work when you wanted to be lazy is why we are here honoring you today. And the we as Westminster, this is a celebration of the teammates, the coaches, the teachers, and the families of Lane, Harrison, LB, Alex, Murray, and Scoot. Knowing that they weren't alone is what gave them the strength to achieve greatness. Today is also about honoring the institution of the Breithaupt Athletic Hall of Fame and all of its current members. So before we induct our newest class, could I ask our current Hall of Famers to stand to be recognized? Thank you all. As Keith said, you all set the example for the scholar athletes of today, and you've made us all better, so thank you. Now for the fun, let's share the stories and show off the accomplishments of Lane, Harrison, LB, Alex, Murray, and Scoot, and hear how athletics at Westminster helped shape their lives. By way of video, let's introduce our first inductee, Lane Brody.
She took it. She took advantage of all of her opportunities, and it wasn't a question that she really loved it, but she knew she had a job to do, and she went about it in her own inimitable way to get the job done. She was an All-American for us for 3 years, the outstanding female swimmer in the state of Georgia, and just a tremendous gal.
She won state all 4 of her years in the 100 breaststroke, an amazing feat. But not only was she great in the pool, she was a phenomenal captain for us.
She didn't hold it over anybody or everybody. That was her job, to go fast. Swimmers take your mark, go, and go over and touch that wall, come back and touch this one, and you're through. And if you get back here first, you're the champ. It's that simple. And she knew how to get back here first. You know, there's some people that are good at things and they flaunt it. You know, they're up in your face with it all the time. Hey, I'm Mr. or Mr. so on and so forth. Lane was never like that. She was just good old Lane, you know. She did probably more in practice than 2 or 3 or 4 other people put together.
And really her captain-like quality started when she was in the middle school, to be honest, where she was a record holder, still is a record holder from the middle school, and a leader from the very moment she set foot on the pool deck. I brought some props, things that she made during her years here at Westminster, but it wasn't about necessarily the stuff, it was who she was as a person.
It's my honor to be here, to have the privilege of working with you for your swimming career. We're now anxiously accepting you into the Westminster Athletic Hall of Fame.
Lane Brody, as your coach and your special friend 1 year way back when at Westminster, I want to tell you congratulations, Hall of Fame.
Lane?
Morning. Anybody else tearing up? Thank you all for being here. Friends and family, thank you for being here today and for your involvement in not only my career but my life. I wanted to tell a story today. So when I was 14 years old, I broke my foot. It was actually a stress fracture. It was the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year. And I was doing doubles at the time, so that meant morning practice, waking up, going to swim for 2 hours. I was also doing PE in summer school here. So I'd go swim for 2 hours, my parents would drive me here, I'd come in, we'd run a few miles, do some stuff in the gym, the bike, elliptical, whatever. Then I'd go back to afternoon practice, and we'd warm up with a 3-mile run, hit the weights, get back in the pool for 4 more hours. So honestly, the stress fracture was a huge surprise. Shouldn't have seen that coming. But it was devastating. And I remember going to the doctor. They put a boot on my foot and told me I was not to do any sort of weight-bearing exercise for 8 weeks. So my parents and I left the doctor's office and went to go see my coach at the time. And I tell this story because 2 reasons. What happens next, I think, was probably the most significant inflection point in my career, but also really indicative of a shared characteristic of the best coaches. So we went into, and I've had a ton of coaches in my career, Jan Allen being the first coach I ever had when we moved from Saudi Arabia, and just an incredible person in my life. Pete being another one, and I'll talk about him in a second. So we went in to see my coach at the time, boot on my foot, sat down with him, explained that my foot was broken, I couldn't swim for 8 weeks, and he said, "Oh, you'll be fine, just throw a garbage bag on it, you can train." Are you kidding me? So my parents and I looked at him and said, "Thank you, but no thank you," and I quit. I quit swimming. I stepped away from it. I didn't really know how to handle that. And sometime later, my parents took me to come see Pete. Pete has always been more like a grandfather figure to me than a coach. And I don't know if you all know Pete very well, but he's a man of very few words. So my parents dropped me off to have maybe a 30, 45-minute chat with Pete. 3.5 hours later, we emerged from his office just over there. And I think, I don't remember the exact details of that conversation, but I do remember the outcome. And I think what he was getting at in sprinkled between his hundreds of stories he undoubtedly told me in that time, was that I loved being in the water. And that's what he wanted to get back to was, let's not worry about training. Let's not worry about, you choosing which team you're going to go train at or pool you're going to go train at next. Let's just get you in the water. Let's rehab your foot. Let's have you learn how to play water polo, which is something new and I wasn't great at. And we'll figure out the rest, right? We'll figure out how to get you from here to state in February. So I didn't swim club swimming that year, which was dramatic and certainly caused lots of chatter around the mini pool decks. And I hung out here and I trained with the team and I spent time with Pete. And come February, sure enough, I won my first high school individual state championship. And in a very dramatic fashion, the girls team won our state championship that year as well. So I think when I look back at all of the coaching experiences that I've had and all of the coaches who have influenced my life, you can generally drop them into two buckets. Those coaches who think of us as a great talent first and an athlete first, and our humanity is second to that. And there are those who think of us as an individual and a person first and foremost, having intrinsic value just because we exist, and we're a great talent after that. And when I reflect back on all of the coaching experiences that have impacted my life, I can certainly group those of you here into that latter bucket, who thought of me as an individual first and a great athlete second. So for that, I say thank you.
Thank you, Lane. Let's meet our next inductee, Harrison Buckner.
When I really knew that Harrison was going to be truly outstanding was in our Thomasville game, his senior year in 2012. We were down to Thomasville 17-14, I believe, at the time, late in the game, maybe 5 minutes left, and we were lining up for a 44-yard field goal. And at that time, we weren't sure. We felt like Harrison could make that kick, but it was under a lot of pressure. But he makes the kick. We go on to win the game. He also had 2 or 3 punts, I believe, in that game over 50 yards. That's when I really knew that Harrison had not only the ability and the skill, but emotionally and mentally had that mental toughness that you need, because that was a pressure kick in those circumstances, a 44-yard field goal late in the game to tie it. And his demeanor is just so amazing. I think that's what sets him apart from others, is how he handles the pressure. And I think that's enabled him to get to where he is right now.
Taking him down to the Georgia Dome and letting him do a practice session in the Georgia Dome before we played down there, that was a lot of fun too. Having people in the dome say, "Wow, are you working out a new kicker?" And I went, "No, he's a high school junior."
But what really set him apart wasn't the athleticism, it was much more his character. Harrison was the guy that would clean up the bench when everybody was done. He had an awesome slide tackle, probably my favorite slide tackle of all time, and I'm an old defender, so that means something. Against Greater Atlanta Christian in the state final in 2011. We were losing at the time, and it kind of like changed the momentum of the game. Obviously, in 2013, he scored the winning goal on a header. I always reference that to the players, not so much because of his scoring, but after the game was done, Harrison got emotional. He broke down and he cried. And I tell the teams now, I want to be able to impact you guys to the point to where you have that sort of emotion where crying is something that you do, and it was a crying of joy sort of moment. Harrison, I'd like to very proudly congratulate you for entering into our Hall of Fame. Looking forward to hearing and seeing good things about you in years to come.
I could not be happier for you and your family, Izzy. The baby to come soon. Congratulations, well deserved.
Harrison, I'm so excited that you are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, it would have been great to have you here with us, but we'll have the time to congratulate you. And I know you're preparing for the New England Patriots, and good luck, and we'll all be watching. But again, congratulations. I'm so excited for you.
Could I ask Scott Snyder and Jerry Romberg to join us here up on the stage? And Jerry tipped it off, but Jerry and Scott, if you could come up here. Sometimes duty calls, and unfortunately for all you Tom Brady fans, which I think is unfortunate to begin with, if you are, Harrison is in Foxborough preparing for tomorrow's game against the Patriots, but he did want to share these thoughts.
How's it going, Westminster? Harrison Butker here. Sorry I can't be there in person, but hopefully this video will suffice. First off, it's a huge honor to be inducted into the Westminster Hall of Fame. There's so many teachers and coaches at Westminster that I'd like to thank for my development as both an athlete and as a person. I'd first like to thank Coach Sterno and Coach Romberg with the football program for encouraging me to get started with football and then for nurturing that at my time at Westminster. Thank you to Coach Malloy for all the great years we had at playing basketball. And thank you to Coach Schneider for those 3 amazing state championship years and for all that you've done for me now that I'm have left Westminster and in the NFL. Thank you to all of the teachers and coaches at Westminster that created this environment where I was able to pursue 3 different sports as well as be encouraged and pushed in the classroom. I think that balance at Westminster is so special and something that I still cherish today and so grateful for. Outside of Westminster, I'd like to thank my parents for all that they've done and all the sacrifices that they made to get me to go to a school like Westminster, and then the time that they sacrificed in going to all of my sporting events from when I was a little kid to even now coming to all the home games in the NFL. Thank you so much, and there's so much more I could say. Thank you. And then I'd like to say thank you to my then girlfriend, Isabel Tarani, and now wife, Isabel Butker, for kind of being the catalyst to get me to join the football team and for being there with me along for the entire journey of my sporting career from high school and currently today. And above all else, I'd like to say thank you to God for everything that He's given me in my life. I'm so grateful, and I would be nothing without Him. Westminster, thank you so much for this award. I look forward to coming back this off season and spending some time there. Really sorry again that I can't be there in person. Thank you so much, and go Cats.
Proudly accepting on behalf of Harrison are his parents, Elizabeth and Harrison. Introduce our next inductee, L.B. Joel.
Lord knows nobody deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than L.B. Joel. The guy's got 4 letters in wrestling, 4 letters in track, 3 letters in football. To be willing to play 3 sports for your school and to excel at all 3, and to be nominated for the Hall of Fame in 2 of them, wrestling and track and field, that is absolutely phenomenal.
LB's probably one of the most dominant wrestlers that's ever been at Westminster. Second all-time in career wins. His senior year was probably one of the most dominating seasons ever. He went 50-1. Only loss was to a state champion from another classification. Probably would have had more statistics, but guys were so afraid of him, they just forfeited to him. They wouldn't even go out and wrestle him with some younger kids. Holds the school record for pins, and I believe he has double whatever the second place person has. So it's not even close. And what's even more crazy, he put up all these numbers wrestling the 4 highest weight classes. So as a freshman, he didn't run into other freshmen. He was wrestling, 180-pound grown men when he's a freshman, and he's still winning 40 and 50 matches a year. Just had a real dominant career, was a great leader for us. He's still on the record board in the weight room. He's a state record holder in track. Just all around phenomenal athlete. He's the kind of guy that we want to have at this school.
I'd love to say that some of the credit comes from being in my homeroom in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, but I know that isn't true. but I loved seeing you on the field, on the wrestling mat, out there throwing discus and shot, but I also loved seeing you every morning in homeroom. Yeah, you were a few minutes late from time to time, or should I say every day, but nonetheless, you always made it there in time for the announcements, hanging out there with Coleman Poge. But I think back to wrestling, I think about the inspiration that you gave to the rest of the team, the fact that you were the state champion in 2009, so difficult and in a really tough classification. And then you were state championship in discus in 2009 as well. And as last I checked, you are still the state record holder in state AA discus.
LB, you were a freshman my first year working here at Westminster, and I knew from the first time you stepped in the weight room that you were going to go into the Hall of Fame one day. I didn't know it would be for two sports. I'm honored that I was able to nominate you and speak on your behalf, and I'm able to induct you. And I'm even more honored that when I stepped down from coaching wrestling, that you were the guy that took over. I cannot imagine a better person to take over that program. So proud of you, so honored to call you a friend and a colleague, and this day's for you, buddy. Congrats.
Joining LB for his induction as an outstanding athlete are Bobby Hayes and Scoot Diamond.
So I'm not a very emotional guy, but that's fun to watch. Thank you everyone for coming. I want to go around the room and thank a bunch of people, starting with my parents. One of my best memories was a really foggy morning, 5:30, when we used to come into the weight room and do morning workouts. My mother would pick me up from the front door with a glass of milk and grab me over here at 5:30 in the morning to work out with my teammates. And, she did that probably hundreds of times throughout high school. Giving me rides to workouts, to practices, from workouts, and also being there at the hard times when things didn't go my way. Every athlete in this room has had these hard losses, and my mother was always there to be the supportive safety net. So thank you, Mom. My dad also had a huge hand in shaping who I am as a person. I remember very vividly sitting in my driveway on the way to baseball practice, and he looks over and says, "LB, I want to tell you something very important. Win or don't come home." So, a couple years later, he was actually my baseball coach, and he didn't say it quite that often when he was my coach, but we went undefeated that year, so we didn't really have to deal with that. Some other people in this room I'd like to thank. First of all, Scoot Diamond. There are 2 Hall of Fame members now from that same homeroom, so the common denominator there is pretty obvious. Also, Coach Hayes, thank you very much for those kind words. When I first started here, I was a little awkward, a little gangly armed, and he sort of developed me into the athlete I am today. He knew exactly how to push just the right buttons to motivate me. I'm sort of a tough love type of guy, and he saw that immediately and really helped me with my development as an athlete. So thank you, Bobby. And also thank you for handing over the wrestling program in such great shape. First goal this year is to beat Love at we're right. Also, I want to go around and say thank you to Coach Breithaupt and Coach Jones, who are 2 huge hands in my middle school athletes here. Coach Breithaupt was my first ever wrestling coach. Coach Jones coached me 8th grade football, and that was party every day. It was a lot of fun. Probably the most fun I've had on the football team here. Also want to say thank you to Coach Romberg, who's out here somewhere. I came back to coach wrestling and track, and he was very welcoming to have me on his staff in the football team. And it was my first year coaching football, so I had a lot to learn, and pretty much everything I know about football I've learned from him. So I've got a long way to go and a lot more to learn, but every day I'm learning more and more. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for being there for me for the past 15 years. Another story I want to tell is about Marty Wild. He's over here as well. One day I was out on the track, throwing discus with Coach Myrick, who's here, and Coach Hayes. We had a camera out, and we were filming thousands and thousands of spins, and it makes you a little dizzy to think about. But Coach Walla comes out and says, "LB, you want to throw in college?" And my first response was, "Yeah, I never thought about it, but sure." So he says, "I'll be right back." 30 minutes go by, he comes down and he has a piece of paper in his hand. He says, "All right, Georgia Tech, Georgia, UNC, Georgia, and a couple other people, they all want to talk to you this afternoon." So that just goes to show you the type of coach that is here. That's sort of what I aspire to be. When I first started, Tim said that you know you're doing something right when your own come back. And so I wanted to say thank you to the entire Westminster community, because this is a very special place. I'm back here to sort of be a beacon of what you all have done for me over the past, over my career here and ever since then. But other than that, I can't really see anyone else out here that I'd like to thank, but I'm sure I'm missing people. I have some teammates here as well, Drew Kaplan and Drew Smith. The last time I actually cried out of happiness was because of them. Won the state championship in wrestling, and they were up there starting a chant, and even got the Love It parents and wrestlers to join in as well. So it was the last time that I cried out of happiness, and this is right up there with that. But thank you everyone for coming. My beautiful girlfriend is here as well, so thank you for being patient with me. I know being the girlfriend of a coach is not easy, long hours and things like that, so thank you for being patient. And the whole Westminster community, thank you very much. This is a great family to be a part of, and I'm very excited to be back and contributing to a place that may be who I am today. So thank you very much, and congratulations to all the other inductees.
Thank you, LB. And before I introduce our next inductee, let me acknowledge our Westminster staff for their Hall of Fame efforts this morning. Bobby Strickland, Don Porter, and all the physical plant staff for transforming this space into, less than 12 hours ago, this was the Cedar Grove football locker room. So thank you all. Natasha, Noel, and Flick for that wonderful meal that we're sharing this morning. Thank you. Paul Elizar for the sights and sounds of this morning. Thank you, Paul, from IT. Our incredible WCAT students who got up early on a Saturday morning to come in so we could broadcast this live for anyone who couldn't be with us this morning. And also, this will go into the archive for all to see. Cooper Carter, our alum who put these videos together. Cooper does a wonderful job. Our friends in OIA who really put the finishing touches and the really nice touches on the ceremony. And our rock star athletic staff, Mike Isaac, Katie Trainer, and Jamila Jones sitting next to me, really yeoman's efforts for today's ceremony. So if we could give them a hand, please. Now let's meet our next inductee, Alex Sawicki.
Alex definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. She was a team leader for 3 years. She did amazing things for us. She not only was a leader on the field, but in the classroom as well. She was a peer leader. She was a discipline prefect. She is brilliant. National Honor Society, National Merit finalist. I could go on and on and on. But really what sticks out about Al, of course we call her Alex, Al, is just how she led our team. Al, along with her twin sister Nadia, and 3 other women, set a state record of 17 points, which still stands for today. This is for all boys and girls, all classification in cross country.
I always thought of that verse that says, in quietness and confidence, will be your strength. She was always confident. She, of course, we all get nervous, but any race, any practice, she was ready to give her all, and everybody noticed that, whether it was a ninth grade girl or the seniors. And she was a great inspiration, and her times, everything. She, in my view, completely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Al, congratulations. You so deserve this, and I'm so proud of all you have accomplished, not only in cross country, but in your professional life as well. Congratulations.
Alex, please join me for your induction as an outstanding athlete.
Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for being here. I'm so honored to be recognized with this group. It's a phenomenal group of inductees, and it's really an honor. And I'm at kind of a cool time in my life to receive this. I feel a little old, although Coach Diamond's, you know, pulling up the older end of things. But, I'm in the middle of my career and just really excited to get this right now. I wanted to talk about a couple of people that really helped me along the way and that I'm really grateful for. The first is Coach Eubanks, who is at a race this morning. This whole thing was her idea. I took PE in the summer, and I ran every day for, I don't know what it was, a month or something. We did the mile every day, and she sat me down one day and she said, you know, your times are getting faster every day. You should think about running cross country. So I was running club soccer at the time and switched over. My sister and I both did, and it was a great decision. Running is a cool sport. You really get time with yourself to challenge yourself, and I don't know, I feel like you can really discover who you are during a race. So running has been great for me, and it was Coach Eubanks' initial idea to do that. She pushes you hard, but is so encouraging, and those are fantastic qualities in a coach. So I'm very grateful to her. And I had phenomenal teammates who she mentioned while I was running, but we had just a really great atmosphere on the cross-country team. So many girls run cross-country, I mean, even more now but we had a big team and just a great spirit to the cross-country team, boys and girls, and it was just a really fun environment to develop as a student athlete. I wanted to mention my parents. They are not here, but they might be watching. I hope they're watching. Hi guys, they're in Massachusetts. A quick story about them. We have a lot of videos of cross-country races, and I use the term video loosely because my dad took them, and the shots of the starting line and the beginning of the race are pretty good, but then when my sister and I would come by, it's shots of the grass. And but what sticks out in my memory is my dad, both of my parents' voices, my dad's encouraging voice. Both my parents have such an intensity to them, so encouraging, so supportive. And all you can see is the grass, so you really are impressed with their voices cheering for me. And that's what I remember most about cross country, honestly. My mom has the loudest clap I have ever heard, and they're just phenomenal supports. Obviously, they drove us to everything and attended everything, but their voices cheering for me stick out in my memory. I wanted to thank my sister and brother-in-law for being here. Dan Wood is my brother-in-law, and my sister Nadia and I are both physicians now. We have pretty much gone every step of the way on life together, and that includes a lot of running miles. We it's hard to express to you how awesome it is to have a twin sister, but especially if you're a long distance runner, because it really helps to have someone to talk to, challenge you, you know, encourage when you're really tired. So it's been so fun to run with her, to play other sports with her, and I highly recommend having a twin sister. It's a lot of fun. I'm so grateful to Westminster. It is such a fantastic place, and I'm just reminded of that being here with all of you. I got to talk to Mr. Finswaite this morning, hear Joe Tribble's voice, see Scoop Diamond last night at the football game. It's an incredible community of people, and it really was formative for me as an athlete, but as a student, and there's something about sports that just trains you for everything else in life, and I feel very well prepared now. I'm a physician and I have my own practice, and I just feel like sports prepared me for everything gave me everything that I needed, really. And I'm so grateful to all the coaches here and teachers. It was just a phenomenal place to develop as a person. So thank you so much.
Let's meet our next inductee, Murray Sword.
I first met Murray Seward when she was a sixth grader here at Westminster. I was working field day, probably at the long jump area or somewhere like that. They usually put me there so I can scout for talent for track and field. And I saw this extraordinarily fast sixth grade girl zip by everybody. And I immediately hawked down and swooped down and introduced myself to her and asked her would she do track and field, and she said maybe, not realizing she was a nationally accomplished track and field athlete already, even coming into Westminster track and field.
Without question, one of our best female athletes ever in track and field. Murray was a two-time state champion in the high jump, but the most impressive accomplishment was when she was a three-time state championship in the same year, winning the high jump, the 100 hurdles, and the 300 hurdles. And I think what was most exciting about that was the smile on her face when she also received the High Point Trophy for individual points scored.
Murray is one of the fiercest competitors I've ever met, and beyond that, she's a brilliant math science student, taught her in science class as well, just the total package.
She was always ready to do whatever it took to get better in whatever event we were training for.
Murray, congratulations on being inducted to the Westminster Athletic Hall of Fame. It is my distinct honor to have you as my first female inductee into the Hall of Fame under my tenure as head coach. You are so well deserving. I'm so proud of all you've done. Congratulations, Murray.
Murray, congratulations. We are very proud of you.
Joining Murray for her induction as an outstanding athlete are Gary Jones and Mark Tutworth.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, it's really surreal to be standing here with you all this morning. thank you all for being here to help celebrate with me and all the other inductees this morning. I can remember being a middle school student and high school student walking the halls of Turner Gym and looking at the names of those that had come before me and had been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and really hoping that one day my name can be up there as well. So it really truly is surreal to have that happen today and to be able to share this moment with you all. And as I'm thinking back and reflecting on my time here as an athlete at Westminster, I can think about the different highs and lows and the different stats from my time running track, but really the thing that sticks out to me the most are the relationships that were formed here, and the relationships that I have with my coaches here and my club coaches, and just how much that, those different relationships meant to me. And, I can remember, driving down to Albany, Georgia, every year with all the coaches, and, usually it was just me and maybe one or two other athletes, so we would take a van and, we had a good time on our drive down, or, going, begging Coach Cupworth to take us to the Krispy Kreme donuts that was right by the track that, taunted us every state championship meet, and, him finally giving in when the meet was over. Don't worry, we all had our donuts, but not while we were still competing. That, or even, going with Coach Jones to Georgia Tech for recruiting visits, or, even my senior year with fellow teammates, and, having a countdown to track with them just because they loved track as much as I did and couldn't wait for the season to start. So those are really some of the memories that I look back on and smile at the most. And as I continue to reflect back on my time that I spent here at Westminster, I also have fond memories of the times not only that I spent in athletics and on the track, but also in the classroom and in academics as well. As you all know, Westminster really prides itself on having top rankings in both athletics and academics, and I think that's something that's really stuck with me as I move forward in my own career. And really this, striving for excellence both in the classroom and on the field is, something that I've carried with me, and is something that now as a graduate student at UVA, I'm, wanting to study in my work that I do now. So for me, in my work and research, I'm really trying to, better understand how the intersection of athletics and academics can be shaped by the different adults and teachers and coaches and peers and family members, and just how much of an impact that can have on identity development, particularly for Black female student athletes like myself. And really wanting to better understand how the different messages and support and opportunities that student athletes can have, how that can help better you and prepare you for success down the line. So really all of that, began here at Westminster, and even began before then, and in my work that I was doing with my club coaches and my family, and all of them have really instilled that in me every part of the way. So really for me, I hope as I was growing up, there were former track athletes that I would look up to and see what they were doing and trying to model after them. So I hope that maybe, other young Black girls will walk the halls of Turner Gym in Westminster and, maybe feel the same way as they look up at my name and sort of think, okay, that's something that I want to strive after. But anyways, I could go on and on about my work or my time here, but I just want to close by giving a really special thanks to my mom and my dad for all of their support of me and my brother. And we spent a lot of time out at the track, both during school and in the summers. And I can't thank you guys enough for all of your support of me, both in athletics and academics, and just helping me into the person I am today. And thank you to all the coaches here and my club coaches, and thank you to all the friends and family that have come out today to celebrate with me. They say it takes a village, and really I think it's a testament to that, to have you all here with me today to celebrate. And thank you all. I can't thank you enough. Go Cats!
Thank you, Murray. Let's meet our next inductee, Scoot Diamond.
Scoot Diamond's a very unique individual, and I think what made him such an important asset to Westminster, to the athletic department, to the school as a whole, is that Scoot loves kids, he loves Westminster, and he loved his work. And you put all that together with the fact that he's a really good tennis player, it gave you a pretty good guy to make a tennis coach around here.
For the state tournament, we would go to the semifinals and finals on the same day in Macon. And so our goal was to get to Macon and then hopefully either win or make a good showing in the semifinals or the finals of state. Scoot came up with a slogan that became the motto for our team for a number of years, and that was Macon or Bacon. Macon or Bacon. And that the boys laughed at it, but they also kept repeating it, and so that kind of became our motto that inspired the team to try to get back to Macon as often as possible and to do as well as we could there. Because Scoot was my first assistant coach, we were able to make some changes to the program that benefited the program and established a foundation for incredible success. With Scoot there, we now had two coaches who had some idea of what they were doing. With Scoot's significant contributions to the program, both to coaching and also in terms of morale, the team gradually got better and the program definitely got better until by 2000 we won a state championship. That was the beginning of a streak of 10 consecutive state championships, which I think is still a record for any boys team in the state of Georgia in any classification. During his 12-year tenure with the girls, he won 3 more state championships. And just as he had done with the boys team, leaving the program in good shape when he left, he won a state championship in 2017, the spring that he retired, and in 2018 they won another state championship. So there's a legacy wherever Scoot coached that he would leave the program in good shape for his successor.
Well, Scoot, you've been a dear friend, and the worst thing about retirement, and now that you and I are both retired and kind of gone our separate ways, the worst thing about retirement is not seeing your old friends on a regular basis. Everything else is pretty good.
My friend, it's been a pleasure knowing you and working with you, and we wish you the best in Naples, Florida, in retirement.
Is Scoot still here? There he is. Joining Scoot for his induction as an outstanding coach are Wade Boggs and Rusty Hudson.
Thanks so much, Tim. Alex, I'm really glad to represent the older end of all the inductees. It's an honor to be the Social Security aspect. We took the photo up there. It was the millennials and the Social Security guy. So glad to represent that end of things. But one word kind of comes to me as I look around this room, and as you look around this room at the people at your table, at the tables all around you, you think of the word family. And that's a word that Jerry Romberg brought to our school back in 1992. And that's the way I see this school, as a family, staff, faculty, coaches, kids, from top to bottom. This is a family. Always has been, always will be. When I think of family, yes, I think of this school, but I also think of my own family. My wife of 42 years, who celebrated her 66th birthday yesterday, Maggie. I think of my mom. Back there in her Bulldog red, getting ready for the LSU game today. who's just been my teacher and mentor since I was 0 years old. Did I say 0? I also have 2 of my high school teachers here. Westminster's been a part of my life since I was 11 years old. And 2 of my teachers are here, Frank Finswaite and Charlie Breithaupt, who, again, with all the great faculty, helped me to become the teacher and coach that I became to be. So thank you for being here. I also have the folks that I worked with in the junior high for 26 years. I got to do a lot of different things here, thanks to Bill Clarkson and Keith Evans. But the one thing I always asked to do, I said, I always want to teach 7th grade. 2 of the inductees were in my 7th grade class quite a few years ago. But to teach 7th grade and to work with that faculty and with that staff and with that group of coaches, I don't know, the camaraderie and the family in junior high was always just sort of the central point of my work here at Westminster. From Adams Gate to those long, long nights on the tennis court. When I think of family too, I think of the tennis family. And tennis has been such a great sport to me. My mom and dad taught me how to play when I was 8 years old. And I wound up being a fairly good player. Some of the people I've been playing with are in this room, and I've been playing with some of these men for over 55 years, and they're here. I want to thank them for being here. My first coach that I got to coach with here at Westminster, Wade Boggs, who was always on the right side of the issue. Wade was always courageous, always did the right thing. Whether it meant losing a match or winning a match, he always did the right thing. And I learned from that when I became the head coach of the girls' team. And again, I think of the family of students. So many, again, I've taught a lot in this room, the family of coaches, the staff that make this school run each and every day and make it look so great. It really is indeed a family. So on behalf of the entire family, I want to say thank you for this honor of being in the Westminster Hall of Fame. It means so much to me. So thank you to the family. And Tim, do I have time for 2 more words? Go Cats.
Thank you, Scoot. Tulane, Harrison, LB, Alex, Murray, and Scoot, welcome to the Breithaupt Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for letting us honor you. Congratulations. This concludes our ceremony.